Not only do we at the Now Morning Show want you to be as prepared as you can, but so does the Ministry of Health. So this morning, we're going to have a conversation with Dr. Mark Dukaran, Chief Public Health Inspector in the Environmental Health Division at the Ministry of Health. Good morning to you, Doc.
Good morning, Rokas, and good morning to the audience.
How are you this morning?
I'm fine.
Thank you so much for waking up this early and joining us. It's
Yes.
much appreciated.
Definitely.
All right. So as the rainy season is fast approaching, what does the public need to know about mosquito bites in particular?
Well, mosquito-borne diseases are a major threat to health and safety throughout the world. More than 700,000 deaths are attributable to mosquito bites every year throughout the world.
Really?
More than all of the wars put together, and more than any other animal or event in the world.
You know, for a long time, Doc, I've been trying to figure out the point of mosquitoes. If they're out here killing 700,000 people a year, like, what's the actual purpose of them?
Well, mosquitoes don't intentionally aim to kill people.
Okay.
It is part of their survival, part of their succession, part of their species survival. So why mosquitoes need to bite people is to get a blood meal so that their eggs would mature and then the species can survive. But more than just the 700,000 deaths, we have more than 390 million cases of dengue throughout the world every year. And malaria, again, one of the most deadliest diseases in the world. In 2022 alone, there were more than 600,000 deaths due to malaria and 250 million cases of malaria worldwide.
And these things are only spread via mosquitoes?
Yes. Only mosquitoes. Malaria is spread by the Anopheles mosquito, which we have in Trinidad. However, we have been designated malaria-free since 1965. We do have about 10 imported cases every year. The difference with malaria and dengue, though, is dengue is endemic in Trinidad. We have dengue circulating in our population, and we have a certain number of cases every year. So the rainy season tend to increase the breeding sites, and the number of cases of dengue is usually increased during that period.
And, okay, so who are the groups of people that should be worried? Who should be considering themselves at risk when it comes to dengue, when it comes to any sort of disease that can be transmitted by mosquitoes?
Well, everyone is at risk. We have all of the mosquito type species in Trinidad, a lot of them that causes disease, Aedes aegypti, Anopheles, Culex, and everyone is exposed to these mosquitoes. So we can assume that if not everyone have gotten bitten by a mosquito, almost everyone.
If you ain't get by a mosquito yet, it will happen. Don't worry.
And it only takes one bite of one mosquito to transfer that virus into your system, right? So
Are there vaccines for these viruses?
we have a very good vaccine for yellow fever. So yellow fever was a mosquito. It is a mosquito-borne disease caused by Aedes aegypti, and yellow fever was predominant in Trinidad before the 70s. So malaria and yellow fever were the two main mosquito-borne diseases.
Right.
However, there's a very good yellow fever vaccine. You probably got it. Most persons would have gotten it at age 1.
Yeah.
Right? In the past, the yellow fever vaccine was considered to last for 10 years, and every 10 years when the yellow fever cycle comes around, the ministry would have advised that you get a booster. However, the WHO now recognizes that one yellow fever vaccine is good for life.
So then how come some countries still require you to have it to enter? Or that's just a personal?
No, that is still a requirement because not every country in the world have a vaccination rate for yellow fever as we do.
Okay.
We have over a 90% rate.
Right.
So we are almost sure our population is safe.
Okay.
However, we are still considered as a yellow fever country, and we are still on that list of countries persons coming from yellow fever countries need to have that vaccination.
Even with the 90-something%?
Yes.
That's very, very interesting. All right, so how do we begin the task of protecting ourselves from these things? Because you're saying there's mosquitoes, right? We have mosquitoes everywhere. We live on a tropical island. They have the northern range, they have the southern range. We have plenty bush.
Yes.
Mosquito breeding sites. How do we protect ourselves?
And unfortunately, the main disease that we are fighting against is dengue. Dengue is spread by Aedes, and the breeding sites for mosquitoes are not, for Aedes in particular, is not the bush, but it is around persons, because persons create those breeding sites, the containers, the drums. So Aedes prefer to breed in clean, clear water.
Stagnant water.
Clean, clear, stagnant water, which is usually found in containers around homes. So we have to do a lot to change our behavior. I always say that we have a lot of health education, we have a lot of brochures, pamphlets, all of these things. But behavior or knowledge is not usually translated to behavioral change. So persons know what to do, but they don't usually do it. And that is the challenge that we normally have.
Yeah.
So in protecting ourselves, the first thing we need to do is try to reduce the amount of mosquitoes, the mosquito population density around us, what we term the mosquito index.
Right.
So in doing so, we have to ensure we clean around our homes. We don't have food boxes and sanitary cups lying around the homes. If we are storing water, and a lot of us do store water, we have to ensure that if it is in drums and buckets, the drums and buckets are properly screened. Our guttering, from time to time you drive around, you see trees, small trees and shrubs growing out of gutterings.
Yeah.
So of course you know that water is pooling there, and of course we would have mosquito breeding there. Old tires, we have a challenge in getting rid of old tires, and sometimes when our operators go around, when we see a tire in a particular area this year, next year we go back, we see the same tire in the same area, same spot. So it is a challenge. We cannot be there every point in time. So householders are required to get rid of these items that can hold water and create breeding sites.
I know what's interesting is sometimes you don't realize some of the things that could hold water,
Yes.
because you might have a plastic chair outside, for example, and you have it open, and the back part of it might just pull a little bit of water, and that's enough for the Aedes aegypti to breed in, right?
Yes.
So as the rainy season approaches, then we have to encourage people to just be mindful of those things, the places that's not a container particularly, but could still hold and store that clean, clear, stagnant water.
I have seen mosquito breeding in a water bottle cup.
The
cap.
cork. Yeah.
So something as small as that. Then we also have to consider things that we beautify our homes with. So we have ornamental plants.
Oh, gosh.
So water sometimes are held in where the leaves meet the stalk.
Right.
So that is an area that we need to look at. We have flower pots that we water, and we have the
saucepan thing below it.
saucepans underneath collecting water. So we have all those things. Sometimes we don't pay attention. Vases in our homes. Sometimes we don't pay attention, or we tend to forget that these are sites that can breed mosquitoes.
Are there any insecticides or anything that we can use safely?
Yes, we do have some insecticide, but insecticides should not be our priority. We always think that insecticides is the magic spray. It is going to get rid of mosquitoes.
It doesn't?
It doesn't. We know that.
It's getting rid of them temporarily, at least.
Yes. So what we normally focus on is what we call integrated vector management.
Okay.
So we are using all the different strategies. So in particular, as what we just spoke about.
The containers around the house.
Right, to clean up around your homes.
Right. What else?
We have some biological agents. So sometimes we had a lot of natural predators for mosquitoes, things that would have controlled the population to an extent. But due to chemical sprays, not only to kill mosquitoes, but in agriculture and so, we have destroyed a lot of our natural predators. I am sure when you were a child, you would have seen a lot of dragonflies.
Yeah, I still see dragonflies.
Well, they are not as much as
And dragonflies eat mosquitoes?
The dragonfly larvae eat mosquito larvae.
Ah.
So when they are in the same container, the dragonfly larvae would feed on the mosquito larvae.
Okay.
So they help control the population of mosquitoes.
Right.
So even when we thought that chemicals were a quick fix and we'd get rid of mosquitoes totally with chemicals, we realized that after a period of time, it has gotten worse because the chemicals, we cannot spray every day, every time, and the natural predators have been destroyed.
Okay, so in terms of, I like the fact that you went natural, right? So tell me about some natural plants. I know that there are some plants that repel mosquitoes, not so?
Yes, so we have natural products in terms of neem, we have citronella, right? So those are things that come from natural sources. In terms of the chemicals, the insecticides, we have things like permethrin, which we normally have in the mosquito coils and in the aerosol spray.
Okay.
Right, so sometimes we may, well, in the past, CAFA would have recognized that permethrin, mosquitoes are resistant to permethrin in some Caribbean countries.
We use it too much.
So we use it too much, right? We are now engaging CAFA to do an insecticide resistance study with us in Trinidad. So that should be coming soon so that we can determine whether there is resistance to permethrin in Trinidad.
Nice. So tell me about what the ministry is doing to help protect the public. So we mentioned what we can do individually. When we talk about the containers, we talk about the plants, we talk about all those things. But tell me a little bit about what the ministry is doing.
So before we go on to that, I just want to add to that. So as much as we can reduce the mosquitoes around us, we also need to prevent mosquitoes from biting us. So we can cover ourselves if we are going out, wear long sleeve shirts, long pants to ensure that mosquitoes don't bite us. If we are sleeping, we could sleep under nets, right? And we also want to protect mosquitoes from getting into our homes. We are most vulnerable when we are at sleep.
Of course, because we ain't moving.
We ain't moving, and we are not aware a lot of the times when a mosquito is biting us when we are asleep.
Of course.
So we need the screens, if we can afford it, to screen our doors, our windows to prevent the entry of mosquitoes into our homes.
Nice. I know that sometimes the ministry goes around spraying. Is it Malothian? Is that?
Yes. So the Ministry of Health, we go around homes to treat the larvae. So the mosquito have a 4-stage cycle. 3 of the stages are in water. So definitely the water stages are much easier to control than the adult stage. So we go around the homes at least once a year, treat all of the water holding containers around our homes. We also do what we call an entomological survey. So we capture data in terms of the types of containers, whether they had mosquito larvae present or not. That data is now used to determine where we have high-risk areas in terms of mosquito density.
Right.
Those high-risk areas now is what we try to treat the adults, to kill the adults. And the malathion that you're speaking about, we use that in 2 forms, what we call ultra-low volume spraying. You would have seen a vehicle with a machine mounted at the back, and we pass very early in the morning or late in the
with a disgusting smell.
Right. So a lot of people, if they don't smell it, they think that we are not spraying something. They think we are spraying water. But malathion is still one of the insecticides that we are sure mosquitoes here do not have resistance to. And as a result, that is why we have maintained the use of malatine.
Nice. Well, Doc, we are out of time, unfortunately, this morning, but I thank you so very much for sharing this information with us. I think it's very useful, and I hope that Trinidad and Tobago, the population listening, could actually take the action to take care of their surroundings, to be able to clean up the water containers, anything that can store water in your outside and your inside, make sure that you get rid of it or you clean it frequently. Yeah?
So can I just add two things quickly? So we are, the Ministry of Health, looking at some new technologies, sterile insect technology. We are using into care traps. We are using something called aquatine. And in addition to that, Mosquito Awareness Week is from the 13th, not this week, the next week.
13th of May.
And we would have some activities coming up.
All right. Well, I hope that you guys can join us back that week and we can help share the message about mosquito awareness.
Once we are invited.
All right, Doc. Thank you so much for passing through this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a quick break and come back with more in our morning show. Stick around.